Hi, I'm Kelly from Kelly Jones Jewellery. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this pendant. I've put a list in the description below of everything you'll need to make this. I'm also going to be doing a kit for this, which is over in my Etsy shop, and that'll have everything on there that you need apart from the tools, so you have to have your own tools. So I've put all the links below. We've got Etsy and Facebook and Instagram. To make this pendant, you'll need 0.8mm wire. If you want to use round wire, I'm using square wire, so I've got 21 gauge square wire, and you'll need to cut two lengths at 17 inches, which is 43 centimetres. Weaving wire, so that's 28 gauge, mine is 0.315mm because I'm in the UK. You only need about 100 centimetres. I've wound mine onto a bobbin. If you don't have a bobbin, don't worry, but these are really handy to use. They just stop the wire from flailing about. This is a Bobby's bobbin by Bead Smith. I'm using, and I've got quite a few of these, it's drilled from top to bottom and it's a heart shape. This is a mother of pearl, and I've got quite a few, so I'll be putting these on my Etsy shop as part of a kit. So mine is 20mm by 20mm, and you really can use any stone shape you like. I think I'll work with this one. You could use an oval and it would still work as well, or just a large bead. Just make sure you're drilled from top to bottom, because that's how we're going to attach the wire to it. I'm using a little briolette stone, so that's like a teardrop that's drilled across the top there. And again, you can use any size you want. You can use a bead if you like. Mine is 10mm by a jump ring, which is 8mm outside measurement, and I've got a selection of little beads. So I've got 3 2mm beads and 1 3mm beads, and I will put all this together in a kit if anybody's interested over on Etsy. The disadvantage is that I'm in the UK, so I do have to put a bit of shipping on there. So tools, I've got my pliers, round nose pliers, wire cutters. If you don't have nylon pliers, don't worry. I just like having these handy for flattening weaves and straightening. That's everything. Let's get started. So cut your wires to the lengths that I have and thread your bead or your drilled cabochon onto one of the wires. You want to position it centrally. So mine is 8 inches from that end. Position your second wire to the back. Get them the same lengths. Gracie's snoring already. I'm sure it's as soon as I start talking to myself. So then you want to bring your wire that's at the back over to the front a little, and we're just going to squeeze them together so that they sit next to each other there. So now we've got the two wires. I just pinched them together a bit. Sit nicely next to each other. And we're going to weave across the two a little bit just to tie it in place. So take your weaving wire and we'll wrap a few times around the bottom wire just to attach. And then I'll just wrap a few times around the both wires, so we're just attaching them together. And I'm going to go around the bottom wire a couple of times. So now we're just going to continue adding coils to this bottom wire. So I've coiled about 1.5 centimeters onto that bottom wire. Just going to cut that tail end from the beginning, and always remember to flatten down your cut ends. Bend both your wires over to the left a little, and then we're going to bring the wire over to the right. I'm just going to bring it straight down. Hard to show you with all these long wires, always the way. And then this bare wire comes over the same, but we're going to cross it over so it goes this side of that wire. And then we're going to attach the wires together. So we'll go around both wires twice. And then we're going to carry on adding coils to the top wire. So bring the wire up in between, and then we'll carry on adding coils to that top wire. So I've done a few coils there. So now we're going to scoop the thing this way, in this direction. And then we're going to attach the two wires together again. I'm just trying to push my coils together. I've got a little gap. So keep pushing your coils together as you go. And when we get to this position, we're going to go around both wires to tie them together. So bring the wire underneath, and we'll go around the two a couple of times. Then come back up between, because we're going to carry on adding coils to that top wire. So I've added coils to that one. So we've got a nice scoop in the wire there. And then here, after the join, this bare wire then comes over the coiled one. And we're going to scoop around in this direction. And the bare one goes over, so it comes around on the other side. I keep getting little gaps in my coil, so you really do have to keep pushing it together as you go. So make sure your bead or your stone is really pulled up, so you haven't got much of a gap at the top, so it's not going to move later. And with this last little space here at the bottom between our wraps and the end of the stone, I'm going to weave across the two wires. Hopefully those won't get in the way. So we're just going to do what would be like a bale weave across the two, and we're going to keep that little gap there. So I've gone around the top wire a couple of times, then I come over the bottom wire and I go around that one a couple of times. I hope you can hear me over Gracie snoring. Then over the top wire. So you go over the opposite wire and then around it again. Over the opposite wire and around it again. And we'll just do that until we reach the edge of the stone there. And keep pushing it together as you go. So finish with a few wraps around one of the wires. I'm going to go 3 times. And we're going to cut that wire, flatten off the sharp bit. So now looking at these wires at the bottom, we've got the one that comes through the bead, and this one at the back needs to come and sit flush with it. So I've bent it over the stone a little, and then I've bent it back up. You can do that tidier with pliers if you want to. So we just need those 2 wires sitting together at the bottom there. And then these 2 here, hold the front down in place so you don't misshape your wires. We're going to take both these wires around the bottom 2. And try not to pull your bottom 2 wires over as you do that. So looking at these 2 bottom wires now, I'm going to take the one and take your pliers. So I'm going to take this one. I'm going to add twists to that wire. So holding this, the wire at one end, twist the pendant around in the other. Hard to show you when I'm so close, but I'm just twisting it around and around, and I shall keep going until I've got a nice twisty shape in that wire. So I've twisted that wire. So what we're going to do now is going to take both these wires at the same time. We're going to bend them over quite tightly around those wires and bring them back in on the pendant there, and then holding them against the stone and bringing them together, putting a bend in both wires. And then when it gets to the top here, holding them again in place, I'm going to bend them in. So we're just putting a nice shape on those wires. And I'm going to take both those wires through the gap at the front. So I'm going to pull it out, then I'm going to hold this so I don't misshape it too much. I'm going to put both of those wires through the hole at the top there. Pull it all the way through. And then have a look at that shape that we originally put on the front there. So to secure this in place, what I'm going to do is hold in the front there again, making sure you've got enough of that lovely shape that you want. Holding that there, I'm going to take the top wire, just the top one, and I'm going to go around that loop again. So it just holds it and stops those wires moving at the top. I'm really holding it tight so it doesn't move, and I'm wriggling that wire right the way through. So now I'm just going to straighten that wire with my pliers because it's gone a bit crazy. Again, holding the front in place. Just wrapped around, it should be fine. Always handy to have something to straighten the wires with, especially when they're square. So now I'm going to bend both wires over the back. So holding the front shape again, because that one wire isn't attached, I'm going to squeeze the wire down the back, and this top wire also goes down the back. So both wires come down the back of the stone. So that's the wires down the back. You can see where this wire comes over. I want these to go behind that wire too. So kind of just pop it behind those wires the best you can without missshaping everything. So those wires now come out the bottom, and these wires go around those as well. Does that make sense? So when we turn to the front now, we've got these two wires coming out of here. I've really got to try and talk louder than Grace is snoring. So we'd want those wires to come down quite straight, so they look quite nice on the back. And then this now can come over those two. So we've got two wires coming out the bottom. and 2 wires coming out sort of to the side from the bottom there. 2 wires coming out the bottom, bend them over to the right a little, and we're going to bend them around. So we're making a loop at the bottom. So you've got 2 wires have gone round in a loop at the bottom. And that's what we've got so far. So now take this wire, the bare one that went around the loop at the bottom, and holding the loop in place, we're going to take this wire around, and I'm going to bend it a little, and I'm going to bring it through the gap at the front there, and then I'm going to wriggle that all the way through. And then that wire goes against the stone there, and I'm going to scoop it over to the left. These 2 wires at the front on this side are also going to scoop around to come over the front of the stone. So now we've got 3 wires coming up. I'm just going to pull them apart a little bit just so we can see all 3 wires. I'm going to use a little bit of weaving wire just to attach them together at the bottom there. So I'm going to wrap around the middle wire to attach a couple of times. And then slide that down. And so now take your weaving wire. We're working across the 3 wires. Come under the bottom wire. Come under the bottom wire. And over, so we've gone over the middle wire. Then go over your top wire and under your middle wire. So we've gone around the top 2. Go over the middle wire and underneath the bottom wire. So we're just tying them together really, and then we'll go around the bottom 2. Bringing it up between, go around the top 2. So then I'm just going to go once around the bottom 2 and finish with a couple of wraps around the middle wire. Push it all down. So we've just tied those wires together. I'm going to cut that there and flatten down the sharp bit. So now looking at the middle wire, I'm going to scoop the middle wire around. I'm just following the flow of the other wires against the stone really. And then when it gets to there, I'm going to curve it around, but then I'm going to pop it through the middle there at the top. Now I want to add some beads to this wire, so it's best to do it now before I put many bends in the wire, because it can be a bit tricky getting these little beads onto square wire. So I'm putting 3 2mm beads and 1 3mm. So I've added my beads and I really want them to sit there at the top. So I've got this gap here at the bottom. So I'm going to add coils onto this middle wire so that the beads will sit there where I want them to at the top. So I will put a note in the video not to cut the wire when I did, and just continue to add your coils up to that point if you want to. I mean, you could add beads for the whole bit if you want, or you could position them a bit lower down. I would like my beads to sit right up the top there. So I've added those coils there, and I just need to cut the wire. And I need to cut that wire from the beginning too. So now I'm going to take this wire through that gap at the top there. And make sure you've got a nice shape in the wire, because I'm going to wrap it around the top now, so you want to make sure it's exactly how you want it to be. And then I'm going to wrap it around the top. I've got a little bit of a gap between my top bead and where it's going to wrap around the top, so I'm just going to add a few coils so it holds the bead in place there. So I've added coils to the top of that wire, and I'm going to cut that there. So then holding that wire where you want it to be, take it around the, I don't know if you'd call it a bail, the top loops, and pull it all the way through, holding the front in place so it doesn't move around. And I'm going to cut that wire there and flatten it down around the top there to hold it in place properly. So now looking at these last two wires sticking up the bare ones, we'll leave that one a little bit. So this one is going to scoop around here and do like a little loop there. So I'm going to cut that off. This one is also going to do that, so I'll bring it in, follow the shape there, and that's going to finish off into a loop as well. And I'll cut that. And then this twisted one, holding the front in place so not to miss shape, take it around the loop. Now that wire is the loop, so you've got to really hold it so you don't pull it out of shape. And wriggle it through there. And then I'm going to curl that one. So grab your round nose pliers, and we need to curl some wires. You can keep them long, you could follow that swirly flow up to the top if you want to, or you can just finish them off as I have. And then I need to do that bottom one. So that's what we have so far. And you can see why I called it flow, it really does look like water. So we just need to add a jumping to the top and a dangly to the bottom. So I decided to do a giveaway. This is, well, I made this a while ago now. It's an Indonesian agate moon with a little opal in the top there. It's all sterling and fine silver. And this is really just a thank you to everybody for all your love and support on YouTube and over on Facebook. So if you'd like to enter this little giveaway competition, comment below and subscribe to my channel, and I will add you all to my list. I'll be drawing the winner in the next video. Take your little briolette stone, and I've got a few of these I'm going to be putting in the kits as well, lovely little moonstones. Now you can do this with weaving wire if you want to, but it's just not working for me today, so I've moved to a slightly thicker wire. This is 24 gauge, 0.5mm. So I'm hoping I'll have better luck with this one. So you just want to thread it through, and the idea is we bring the wires up together and we wrap them around. That gives the extra strength for the loop. We make the loop and then we just curl it around and around itself. If you can do this with weaving wire, do it. I've tried about 3 times today and I'm so fussy, it just doesn't look tidy enough for me. So then we get to here, we just make a loop using the round nose pliers. I want quite a large loop, so I'm going to go around quite close to the base of the pliers. And then we take it around the whole thing. And I'm going to cut, where's my pliers gone? So this end, I'm going to cut him off there. And then hold that in place and wrap around the whole thing. And this is where I just keep failing today, so I'm hoping the thicker wire will be better. And you just go around and around until you're about 1/3 down the stone. So keep going around your stone until you've covered the top part of it. And then let your wire go to the back and bring the wire up the back and then go around the neck of it a few times to secure it in place. Well, that's a lot tidier than my earlier attempt, so I'm happy with that. Much better. So I'm going to cut this off. Do you all know how fussy I am? I'm going to take this around that side bit a few times just to finish it off. So there we have it finished. I just wrapped a few times around that little bit on the side. I'm going to need another jumping. I always forget about joining it. I think so much about the stone and the wires and the shapes. I forget all about the jumping. So this jumping goes through and through this bottom part of the loops there. There we have it. I've done it. And I got it on the right way. That little stone at the bottom was a bigger challenge for me than the whole thing. So I'm going to run and oxidise this so I can show you what it looks like. So there we have it, finished. I've oxidised mine. I hope you found this tutorial easy to follow, and I know I did change my mind on a few things along the way. So thanks for watching. I've just made myself a cup of tea and I will see you all in the next one. Please join me in the giveaway. See you soon. Bye. So thanks for watching another one of my videos. Please subscribe and hit the notification icon if you want to be notified of new videos that I do. Please like and comment on this video and let me know what you thought. If you want to see my written tutorials, they're over on Etsy. You'll find the link below. There might even be a link on the screen. And I will see you all in the next video. This is Gracie, if you didn't know. See you in the next one. Bye.